After losing their miracle son, my step-parents tried to take my inheritance in court. The judge's ruling left them speechless. I'm an 18-year-old whose arrival was quite unexpected. My biological mother, a wealthy woman with a clear life plan, that initially didn't include children or marriage, met my father casually at a work event. They discovered they had similar careers but worked at different companies and decided to start dating. Despite using multiple birth control methods, I was conceived.
Ow.
My existence was a statistical anomaly, disrupting more than just one life. When my biological mother found out she was pregnant, she decided not to keep me. However, my father, who was secretly married and faced extremely low chances of having children with his wife, urged her to continue the pregnancy. His condition was that he would take full responsibility after delivery, meaning a complete handoff to him, no parenting, no visits, just child support. Growing up, I was led to believe I was the biological child of my father and his wife, my stepmother. This illusion shattered when they welcomed a miraculous baby boy, my brother, who instantly became the center of their world. From my earliest memories, I knew I was a secondary consideration, a family member by circumstance rather than genuine choice. As I got older, the household dynamics became increasingly tense. Family events, holidays, and even casual dinners often highlighted my outsider status. I'd be present, but often asked to take photos rather than participate in them, a subtle but unmistakable sign of my place in the hierarchy. The situation worsened when my other siblings were born. I watched from the sidelines as they received the warmth and affection I had never known. At 13, a pivotal age, I unexpectedly met my biological grandmother and discovered she had a grandchild she never knew existed. She reached out, and we instantly connected. She offered me something I'd never experienced before: unconditional acceptance. When I decided to move in with her, my father and stepmother quickly agreed, seemingly relieved to simplify their family image. Years passed, and I began building a life with my grandma, one where I felt truly valued and seen. Then, unexpectedly, my biological mother passed away, leaving me her entire fortune on the condition that I earn a business degree. This inheritance was more than just substantial. It was life-changing. Overnight, my focus shifted from college, tuition, and student debt to managing money and planning an estate. However, just as I was adjusting to this new reality, my father and stepmother reappeared, showing intense interest in my finances. They argued that since they had raised me for 13 years, I should contribute to my brother's education especially. His desire to attend an Ivy League college, this put me in a terrible spot. On one hand, I understood their role in my life, however complicated. On the other, this legacy from my biological mother felt like a final message, a gesture meant to secure my future while honoring her wishes. Now, I'm at a crossroads, torn between honoring my birth mother's intentions and feeling guilty and pressured by my father and stepmother. Sharing the wealth might ease some family tension, but it could also feel like disrespecting the final wishes of a woman who, in her own way, tried to make amends for a past decision. As I consider these options, I realize it's not just about money. It's about loyalty, understanding my true obligations, and setting boundaries that respect both my future and my past. This is about more than just being fair. It's about being true to myself and honoring the legacy of those who have influenced my life, for better or worse. This decision will likely shape my future relationships and sense of self as I move towards adulthood and independence. So, if I don't share the money, am I a jerk? Now, for the top comments, the short answer is no, you wouldn't be a jerk unless you wanted to share it. That's your money. Let's face it, they don't deserve anything. Sure, they raised you for 13 years, but I'm very sure they would have let you go after their own child was born. So, to that end, no, definitely not. You are not obligated to share your money with them. Given that you say you love your brother deeply and that he has never treated you differently, and the fact that money is no longer an issue for you, you could help him out while keeping your parents out of it. This means that if you wish to help him, you can pay for his university directly. Do not give them the money and expect them to pay. What do you all think? Update 1. As you know from my previous post, I was preparing for an important meeting. With the lawyer and trustee handling my birth mother's inheritance, they laid everything out, explaining the details of her will and what it meant for me. It turns out my mother was incredibly precise about the terms of the inheritance. I must attend business school and complete my degree before I can claim and fully control the inheritance. This aspect is crucial as it effectively ties my hands when it comes to financial matters, particularly sharing any wealth with my father and stepmother. After much thought and solid advice from all of you, I've concluded that I have no moral obligation to financially support my father and stepmother. Your insights and encouragement made me realize that it's my responsibility to respect my mother's wishes while also considering my own future. However, the plot thickens with my brother. We had a serious and honest conversation about what he truly wants for his future. He isn't interested in the Ivy League path at all. His passion is for the arts, and he has always wanted to attend art school. The problem? My stepmother flatly refused to support that dream. She believes a career in the arts is impractical and prefers something more traditionally prestigious or lucrative. Seeing his disappointment, I made him an offer. I would gladly help support his art school studies once I finish my business degree. The offer deeply moved him, and he accepted without hesitation. He excitedly shared the news with our father, hoping for some understanding, if not support. Unfortunately, the reaction was quite the opposite. My father and stepmother were furious. They've always envisioned him entering a field like law or medicine, which in their opinion guarantees a good salary and consequently a way to support them in the future. When my brother stood firm and insisted on pursuing his true passion, it led to a huge explosion. The disagreement became so heated that my brother declared he could no longer live in such a rigid and unsupportive environment. He's 18, so he's legally an adult. Still, moving out was a big decision. He had no solid plan, so I stepped in. So I wasn't going to let him struggle on his own, or worse, end up homeless. He now lives with me. It's an adjustment having him around all the time, yet it feels natural. I've been helping him get to and from school while also working until I can complete my business school registration. It's a lot to manage, but it's worth it to see him more at ease and optimistic about his future. But I've been thinking a lot about what family means and how to best support those you care about. It's not only about giving money or ensuring kids take the path you believe is best for them. It's about listening, understanding, and empowering them to make decisions that are true to who they are. Thank you to everyone who took the time to comment and offer advice. It has made a great impact knowing that there are people out there who care enough to express their opinions and offer support. Here's hoping that my brother and I can forge paths that will make us happy and proud. Here's to handling life's ups and downs with the help of friends and strong personal resolve. Now for the top comments prior to this update. This is a huge twist. Your parents have lost their miracle baby, and he is going to live with you. I believe it's terrific that you want to help him, and it serves your parents right for being so self-centered. So here's wishing you and your brother the best of luck in the future so that you can go to business school, graduate, and then help your brother out. And goodbye to your parents? Since my last post, my family situation has grown fairly chaotic and a lot has happened. I appreciate all of your advice and support. It has been incredibly helpful in navigating this issue. So, let's begin the latest episode of this drama. My father and stepmother continued to pressure me following my previous post. They doubled down. They called me again, this time insisting that I give them half of my fortune to help with my brother's education and their own financial needs. This made me truly frustrated. I snapped and told them off, stating that even if I wanted to help, my hands were tied by the provisions of my biological mother's will. They didn't believe it and accused me of lying, which greatly irritated me. I was fed up with the accusations and decided to seek legal assistance. I met with my lawyer and the trustee for my biological mother's estate to go over everything in detail. They verified that my hands were indeed tied. The will clearly specified that I must complete my business degree before I can fully access and manage the bequest. Armed with this information, I called my father back to lay out the facts, hoping to help him understand the issue better. Unfortunately, The conversation quickly went south. He accused me of using legal justifications to avoid assisting the family. It stung. But I stood firm, sticking to the facts and reaffirming my commitment to respecting my biological mother's wishes. Just when I believed my entire family was against me, my brother came through. He contacted me after overhearing my conversation with our father to express his support for my decision. He was genuinely concerned about how our parents were treating me and made it clear that he disagreed with them. Knowing he was on my side was a great comfort and made me feel less alone in this situation. With all the commotion at home, I immersed myself in my studies. I officially started business school and have been enjoying it. The classes are challenging, but fascinating, and they've been a welcome distraction from the family troubles. Plus, I feel more empowered knowing that I'm learning how to responsibly manage my inheritance once I graduate. The family difficulties were affecting not just me, but also my brother. He's been struggling under our parents' continual pressure and criticism, particularly regarding his future plans. It's been an adjustment for him to live with me full-time, but it's been incredibly good. We've been supporting each other, which has brought us closer together. Having my brother around has been both wonderful and challenging. We've set up a small study room where both of us can work on our respective projects. He enjoys painting, so he doodles while I study. We cook meals together and spend our evenings binge-watching series or discussing life. It's kind of wonderful to have him around. Feels like we're forming our own small team. The future is uncertain. My relationship with my parents is strained. I hope they understand why I made the decisions I did and that we can find a way to work things out. But for the time being, I'm concentrating on my education, helping my brother, and simply trying to create a stable, happy life for both of us. I can't express enough how much I appreciate everyone here. Your comments and messages have been a lifeline during some extremely difficult times. I'll keep you updated on my progress in school, life with my brother, and everything else. Here's 2. Overcoming obstacles and making the most of what life has to offer. Thank you for taking part in my journey. So, here I am, deep into my business school grind, juggling homework like a circus act, when my father calls me unexpectedly. I assumed he merely wanted to catch up, but boy was I mistaken. Dad said, "Hey, we've been thinking, and we believe. It's time for you to start taking on some family responsibilities." I thought, okay, I'm managing Mom's estate and focusing on school. What else do I need to do, Dad? Dad then said, "So, your stepmother and I are planning to buy a new house, and we believe you should contribute. Actually, we expect you to fund half of the expense." My jaw hit the floor. That's half the cost of a house. I couldn't believe what I heard. I said, "Dad, I am a student. How can you expect me to afford that? Also, you know I can't touch the inheritance until I finish my degree." Dad replied, "That is your problem. You should figure it out. You owe us." The call ended there, leaving me in complete shock. The sense of entitlement was overwhelming. Still reeling from the call, I contacted my lawyer and a couple of close friends for their opinions and suggestions. Everyone agreed that was an outrageous request and confirmed that I was right to feel surprised. My lawyer reiterated that the terms of the will were clear and legally binding. I couldn't spend the money even if I wanted to. Knowing I needed to confront this head-on, I scheduled a meeting with my parents at a local coffee shop, a neutral setting where we could potentially talk things through more calmly. The conversation was heated and emotional. My response was, "I need to understand why you think it's reasonable to ask me to pay for half of your new house." Dad said, "Because we raised you. It's only right that you help us out now that you have the resources," I replied. "But I really don't have the means. The money will be locked up until I graduate. Besides, that's not how a family should work. You don't raise a child expecting such repercussions." My stepmother interjected, "You are just being selfish. After everything we've done for you, this is how you pay us back." We went back and forth like this for a while, but it was obvious they weren't listening. They were more concerned with what they could get out of me. After the heated coffee shop meeting, I felt I needed to set some clear boundaries. I told them, "Look, I'm focused on my future right now, and I will not be pressured to jeopardize my finances by violating the terms of my inheritance. I will not pay for your house or anything else like that. I must be responsible with this money for my own future. It was incredibly difficult for me to stand my ground, especially in front of my family. They were truly furious, especially my father. But I realized I needed to stick to my guns for my own sake. So, the situation with my parents is somewhat stressful right now. Not sure where things will go from here, but I'm expecting it to be difficult for a while. Meanwhile, I'm focusing on my education and planning for a future in which I can make my own personal and financial decisions. Thank you so much to everyone here for their support and wisdom during this. It's been incredibly beneficial to have a place to vent and receive comments. I will keep you all updated on any new developments. Fingers crossed for less drama and more peace as we move forward. Here's to being strong and making the best decisions for ourselves. So, after I remained firm on not paying for half of their new house, I expected my parents to back down a little, but they didn't. They returned with an even more absurd request. I had just returned home from class when my phone rang. It was my father again. "Father, we need to talk." I sighed and asked, "What now?" Father said, "Your stepmom and I have been talking, and we think it's only fair that you give us a monthly allowance." Me? What? A monthly allowance? Are you serious? Dad said, "Yes, you'll have all this money soon. It is not unreasonable for you to aid your family on a regular basis." I was stunned. They were not backing down. Rather, they were doubling down. Completely overwhelmed, I contacted my lawyer again to explain the new demand. She reassured me that my parents had no legal claim to any of the bequest, and that I was under no obligation to send them money, particularly a monthly allowance. I also spoke with my brother about it. He was as surprised and outraged as I was. He told me he couldn't believe how entitled our parents were, and that he completely supported me. I plan to meet with my parents again, but this time with my lawyer as support. We met at their house, and it was obvious from the start that things would be tense. Dad, noticing my lawyer, asked, "Why are you bringing her?" My response was, "Because I want to make sure we're all clear on what's legal and what's not." My lawyer calmly stated, "Mr. and Mrs. last name, your son has no legal obligation to provide you with an allowance or other financial assistance. The inheritance rules are clear, and the money cannot be used for discretionary spending until he completes his degree." My stepmother angrily retorted, "So you're going to leave us struggling while you sit on a fortune?" I replied, "I am not sitting on anything. I'm following the rules outlined in the will, and frankly, the constant pressure isn't helping anyone. I need to prioritize my studies and future." My parents were outraged at the end of the conference, and my lawyer and I left feeling grimly satisfied. It was good to have backup, but it was also upsetting to realize how far my parents would go for money. A few days following the encounter, things deteriorated further. Al was studying when I received a series of texts from my brother. He had overheard our parents discussing hiring a lawyer to fight the will, claiming that I was unfit to administer the bequest. Brother texted, "They're talking about calling you irresponsible and incapable of managing money. That's ridiculous." Me, "Are you serious? They can't do that, right?" Brother, "You're right." "I don't know, but it sounds like they're serious about it." I contacted my lawyer right away and explained the issue. She informed me that contesting the will on those grounds would be extremely difficult, especially because I am now in business, school, and handling my obligations effectively. However, we needed to be ready for anything. We began compiling all the documents to demonstrate that I was following the terms of the will and managing everything responsibly. This included my academic credentials, the estate's financial documents, and even character recommendations from professors and friends. Throughout everything, my brother has been a rock. He has been supportive, assisting me with everything from document gathering to simply being present when I needed to vent. Through this situation, we've grown closer, and having him on my side has been crucial. We've continued to live together, and it's been a tremendous adjustment, but also a good one. We've established a good routine for balancing our schooling, and taking care of ourselves feels like we're creating a new, stronger family unit with just the two of us. Right now, we're in a holding pattern, waiting to see if my parents follow through on their threats to contest the will. It's difficult, but I'm concentrating on my schoolwork and trying to remain as normal as possible. I've also begun to consider what life would be like once I finish my degree and have complete control of the inheritance. I want to make sure that I used the money appropriately and in accordance with my birth mother's intentions. The entire experience has been a major learning curve. I've learned a lot about advocating for myself, setting boundaries, and the value of a good support system. It's been difficult, but I feel like I'm coming out stronger and more determined to make a better life for myself and my brother. Thank you for your ongoing support and advice. Your words have been incredibly helpful in navigating this crazy situation. I'll keep you posted on what occurs next. Here's praying for more peace and stability in the foreseeable future. So, after I told my parents I wasn't going to pay them money, they hired a lawyer to fight my inheritance. They were attempting to argue that I was incapable of handling the money and desired control over it themselves. I couldn't believe what was happening. I spoke with my lawyer, who informed me that their case was weak, but we still needed to be prepared. We gathered all available documentation, including my educational records, financial documents, and character references from professors and friends. It was a lot of work, but I was confident we were prepared to defend my position. The day of the court hearing arrived, and I was really frightened. My parents were there with their lawyer, and I had mine with me. The judge heard both viewpoints. My parents' lawyer attempted to portray me as an irresponsible youngster who couldn't manage money, but we had a solid case. When it was our turn, my attorney presented all of the evidence. She showed the judge my good grades, how I was responsible with the estate's funds, and even brought in a couple of my professors to testify to my maturity and dedication. After a lengthy and emotional session, the judge issued a decision. He dismissed my parents' complaint, finding that I was clearly capable of managing the bequest and that their claims had no legal basis. It was an enormous relief. My parents were upset at the judge's decision. They stormed out of the courtroom, not looking at me. It was a bittersweet victory. I was relieved when the case was dismissed, but it pained me to watch my parents acting this way. A few days after the court hearing, I received an unexpected visit. It was my father, but he was alone this time. He appeared fatigued and discouraged. Dad sighed. "Can we talk?" I wearily replied, "Okay. What's happening, Dad?" Dad said, "I have been thinking a lot since the hearing. I recognize we were wrong to push you like this. It's difficult for us to accept what has happened." I was surprised. "What do you mean, Dad?" He continued. "I understand we've put you through a lot, and I apologize. Your stepmother and I have been under a lot of stress, but it is not an excuse for what we have done." We spoke for a long time. He claimed that he and my stepmother were having financial issues and were desperate. They saw my inheritance as a way out, but they were unaware of the suffering they were causing me. He apologized, truly, and for the first time in a long time, I had the impression that he was genuine. I said, "I appreciate you saying that, but it will take time to rebuild trust. Can't expect everything to return to normal overnight." "Dad," said, "I understand. I just hope we can start somewhere." After our conversation, I decided to have a family meeting with both my father and stepmother. The situation was tense but necessary. We laid everything on the table, our emotions, our frustrations, and our dreams for the future. My stepmom also apologized. While I'm still apprehensive, it felt like a positive step forward. Throughout everything, my brother has been my rock. Living together has brought us closer, and we've been able to support each other in ways we never could before. We've established a good routine for juggling study and life. We feel like we're starting our own little family, and it's been a bright light amidst all the stress. With a court battle behind me and a tentative ceasefire with my parents, I'm focused on the future. I'm working hard in business school, hoping to one day have complete control of my inheritance. I want to respect my birth mother's wishes and use the money responsibly, perhaps even starting my own business. Just when I thought everything had settled down, I received a surprising call. It was from my biological mother's lawyer. Discovered some old letters and paperwork from my mother that she wanted me to receive when I turned 18. He asked if he might stop by and drop them off. I was curious and agreed. The lawyer arrived carrying a box full of letters and paperwork. I spent hours reading them. There were letters from my mother discussing her aspirations and dreams for me, her remorse for not being present in my life, and future advice. It was overwhelming but also quite soothing. It felt like she was reaching out to me from the past, attempting to help me. This entire experience has taught me a lot about resilience, boundaries, and the value of having a solid support system. It's been difficult, but I feel like I'm coming out stronger and more determined to make a better life for myself and my brother. Thank you for your continuous support and wisdom. Your encouragement has been a ray of light during some of the darkest periods. I'll keep you updated as things progress. Here's praying for future stability, peace, and happiness. For the time being, I'm taking things one day at a time, focusing on my education, rebuilding trust with my family, and ensuring my brother and I have a stable and happy existence. It's been a weird ride, but I'm looking forward to what the future brings. Thank you again for sticking with me throughout everything. Your support means everything to me, and I'll keep you updated on any new developments. Here's to brighter days ahead. Hello, everyone. It is time for what I believe will be the final update. After all of the ups and downs, twists and turns, I'm finally at a point where things are beginning to calm down and appear brighter. Here's what has happened. This is going to be a long one, so grab some snacks and get comfortable. Following my father's earnest apologies, we began the long process of restoring our relationship. It was not easy, and it certainly did not happen overnight. We had a lot of meaningful conversations, some disagreements, and many times when we felt like we were making progress, but then slid back. But with time, we began to understand each other more. I said during one of our conversations, I need. You two realize how upsetting it was when you and stepmother attempted to grab my inheritance? It felt like you valued money over our relationship. Dad replied, I understand that now. We were desperate and afraid for our future. It does not excuse what we did, but I want you to know how sincerely we regret it. Said it will take time to rebuild trust. Can't expect everything to return to normal overnight, Dad replied. I understand. I just hope we can start somewhere. We took it slow, meeting regularly to discuss and spend time together. Sometimes we'd just go for a walk or get coffee. We would sometimes get deep and really get into our feelings and anger. It was difficult, but it felt like we were making significant progress. Meanwhile, my brother and I continued to get closer. Living together has been an excellent experience. We've established a solid routine for managing schoolwork and downtime. We've even started a few projects together, such as renovating our apartment and planning a vacation for when things calm down. My brother, while painting a wall, said, You know, I think we've done pretty well for ourselves, all things considered. I laughed. Who knew we'd be such a good team? We transformed our apartment into a warm and inviting space, complete with personalized touches that made it feel like home. We hung some of my brother's artwork on the walls, and I created a small office space where I could work on my studies. It was fantastic to build our own area. Business school has been challenging yet rewarding. I'm learning a lot and feeling more secure in handling my inheritance and planning for the future. My biological mother's letters have inspired and guided me. She had so much wisdom and love to impart, even from a distance. One of my favorite letters was one she wrote when she first learned she was pregnant. She talked about her aspirations and dreams for me and how much she wanted me to be happy and successful. It made me feel more connected to her than I ever had before. One of the most difficult obstacles was rebuilding my connection with my stepmother. She had been the most demanding about the money, and it took a lot for me to even want to speak with her. We eventually had a heart-to-heart. My stepmother tearfully said, I was so mistaken. I was blinded by our financial problems and fears. I didn't mean to hurt you like this, replied. I appreciate you saying that. It will take time, but I am willing to try to move past this if you are. Stepmother said, I understand. I just want to be a family again. We began meeting up for coffee and talking about everyday stuff, gradually restoring our friendship. It wasn't always easy, but it was satisfying to be making progress. We talked about our feelings and frustrations, and we gradually came to understand each other better. With the court battles and family drama behind me, I'm moving forward. Concentrating on getting my degree and then gaining complete control of my fortune, I've begun creating a business plan for a startup. I want to start something that reflects my interests and honors my birth mother's legacy. I've been meeting with mentors and advisors to seek their feedback on my company ideas. It's been fascinating to think about the future and what I can accomplish. I believe I'm on the right track, and I intend to make the most of this opportunity. Just when I thought I'd figured everything out, I got another surprise. My biological mother's lawyer discovered a journal she kept during her pregnancy. Reading about her thoughts and feelings made me feel even closer to her. It was like having a conversation with her, learning about her hopes, worries, and goals. One entry stood out. She expressed her fear and uncertainty about being a mother, as well as her optimism and excitement about the future. It made me realize how much Mom cared for me before I was born. My grandmother's support has been a big help. It's comforting to know that I'm not alone. With her support, I am even more driven to complete my degree and take control of my future. For the time being, I'm taking things one day at a time, focusing on my education, rebuilding trust with my family, and ensuring my brother and I have a stable and happy existence. It's been a weird ride, but I'm looking forward to what the future brings. This entire experience has taught me a lot about resilience, boundaries, and the value of having a solid support system. It has not been easy, but I feel stronger and better prepared for what comes next. I appreciate the community's support. You all have been a lifeline throughout some of the most difficult moments. Your unfailing support, wisdom, and encouragement have been a source of light throughout some of the darkest times. I'll keep you updated as things progress. Here's praying for future stability, peace, and happiness. Thank you again for sticking with me throughout everything. Your support means everything to me, and I'll keep you updated on any new developments. Here's to brighter days ahead.